Welcome back to Her True Stories, where real women share their most powerful moments of transformation. If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a story that could change your perspective on family, love, and standing up for yourself. Today's story comes from Marie, a 75-year-old woman who discovered that sometimes the biggest betrayal can lead to the most beautiful new beginning. Let's dive in. At 75, I thought I had seen every possible betrayal life could throw at me. I was wrong. The text message that lit up my phone at 6:47 p.m. on a Tuesday evening would change everything I thought I knew about family, loyalty, and the price of unconditional love. Marie, there's been a change of plans for Tyler's birthday party. David's mother will be handling everything from now on. She really wants you to be there and thinks it would be better if we worked together. Thanks for understanding. Jessica. I stared at the screen, reading it twice. Tyler, my step-grandson. The boy I had raised from age 3 when his father David married me 7 years ago. The same boy whose college fund I had been filling for years. The boy whose car I had just bought last month for his upcoming 16th birthday. The boy whose party I had spent weeks planning and thousands of dollars funding. Jessica, my stepdaughter. David's 28-year-old daughter from his first marriage who had never fully accepted me but had certainly never refused my financial support. And now, apparently, David's mother Linda wanted to take over.
Wait.
Linda had been dead for 14 years. I set the phone down with trembling hands and walked to the kitchen window. Outside, the neighbor's dog was chasing butterflies in their yard, completely oblivious to the storm brewing in my chest. Such a simple, innocent scene, yet I felt like my world was tilting off its axis. David's first wife, Linda, had passed away when Tyler was just 2 years old. Jessica had been 19 then, barely an adult herself. When David and I met at a book club 3 years later, we were both lonely souls trying to navigate life after loss. My first husband had died of cancer the year before, leaving me with a comfortable inheritance, but an empty house. David brought light back into my life, and I welcomed his family with open arms. Jessica was standoffish at first, which I understood. Tyler, however, was different. He was just a toddler who needed love, stability, and care. I gave him all three without hesitation. For 13 years, I had been the only grandmother figure Tyler had known. Linda's mother, Helen, lived across the country in Oregon and visited maybe twice a year. She sent birthday cards and Christmas gifts, but I was the one who attended school plays. I helped with homework. I bandaged scraped knees. I celebrated every milestone. Until last month, when Helen suddenly decided to move closer to be more involved in Tyler's life. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Jessica. Sorry, I meant Helen, not Linda. You know what I mean. Helen wants to handle the party planning from now on. My heart started racing. Helen, Tyler's biological grandmother. The woman who had been largely absent from his life, but who carried the one thing I never could.
Blood.
I walked to my home office, a small room lined with filing cabinets that contained the financial records of my life. More specifically, the records of how I had spent my money supporting David's family over the past 7 years. The adoption papers David and I had discussed but never finalized. It's just paperwork, he had said. You're already Tyler's grandmother in every way that matters. Except, apparently, when it came to his 16th birthday party. I pulled out the folder labeled Tyler, Education and Activities. Private school tuition. $15,000 per year for the past 5 years. Piano lessons, $200 per month for 4 years. Summer camps, roughly $3,000 each summer. Tutoring, $100 per week during the school year. The numbers added up to well over $100,000. Then there was the folder labeled Jessica Support. Her graduate school tuition when she decided to pursue an MBA at 26, $45,000. Her apartment down payment when she wanted to move out of David's house, $20,000. Her car when hers broke down, $25,000. Various emergencies over the years, at least another $15,000. And David? I had been quietly paying half the mortgage on his house since we married, though the deed remained in his name alone. For tax purposes, he had explained. I had also funded numerous home improvements, family vacations, and covered household expenses whenever his contractor business hit slow periods. My conservative estimate put my total financial contributions to David's family at over $300,000 during our 7-year marriage. And now Helen wanted to take over Tyler's party planning. I reached for my phone and called David. It went straight to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached David Thompson. I'm probably on a job site, so leave a message and I'll get back to you." "David, it's Marie. We need to talk about Tyler's party and this situation with Helen. Call me back." I hung up and immediately dialed Tyler's number. It also went to voicemail. His voice, still carrying traces of adolescent uncertainty, filled my ear. "Hey, this is Tyler. I'm probably gaming or something. Text me instead." "Tyler, sweetheart, it's Grandma Marie. Can you call me when you get this? I need to talk to you about your party." 20 minutes passed, then an hour. No return calls. I tried David again. Voicemail. By 9 p.m., a cold realization was settling in my chest. They were all avoiding me. This wasn't a miscommunication or a planning change. This was intentional. My phone rang. Finally. "Marie?" David's voice sounded strained. "David, thank God. What's going on with Tyler's party?" Jessica sent me a very confusing text about Helen taking over. Silence. "David. Look, Marie, this is complicated." "What's complicated?" "I've been planning this party for weeks. I've paid for the venue, the catering, the decorations. Tyler's been excited about it. Helen wants to be more involved. She feels like she's missed too much of his life already. So, she can help with the party. I'm happy to work with her. In fact, Jessica's text said Helen wanted me there." Another long pause. "It's not that simple." "Then explain it to me." "Helen doesn't. She doesn't feel comfortable sharing the grandmother role. She thinks it's confusing for Tyler to have two grandmothers doing the same things." The words hit me like a physical blow. Confusing? David, I've been his grandmother for 13 years. Where was Helen when he had pneumonia at age 4? Where was she when he was struggling with math in 2nd grade? Where was she for any of it? She's his blood grandmother, Marie. Blood. There it was. The line that could never be crossed, no matter how much love, time, or money was involved. And what am I, David? You're my wife. And Tyler loves you. But Helen is family. I thought I was family too. You are, but... No. I cut him off. Don't you dare give me a but after 7 years of marriage and 13 years of loving that boy like my own grandson. Marie, please try to understand. Helen reached out to me last week. She's moving here permanently to be closer to Tyler. She wants to take a more active role in his life. And that means I have to step back? She thinks it would be less confusing if there was one clear grandmother figure. The clear grandmother figure should be the one who's been here for 13 years, David. But she's his biological grandmother. Biology doesn't change diapers or attend parent-teacher conferences or pay for piano lessons. Marie, we never asked you to do any of those things. The statement hung in the air like a slap. I actually gasped. We never asked you to do any of those things. Did he really just say that? Are you serious right now, David? I'm just saying, no one forced you to pay for Tyler's school or Jessica's graduate degree or any of the rest of it. You're right, I said quietly. No one forced me. I did it because I loved you, because I thought we were a family, because I wanted to contribute to our life together. And we appreciate it. We really do. Stop. I could feel something breaking inside me, some last thread of hope or denial. Just stop talking, David. I hung up. For a long moment, I sat in my office surrounded by file folders full of receipts and bank statements, evidence of my financial devotion to people who apparently saw me as replaceable. Then I picked up my phone and called my bank. First National, customer service. This is Amanda speaking. Hello, Amanda. This is Marie Thompson. I need to stop some automatic payments and transfers from my accounts. Of course, Mrs. Thompson. Can you give me your account number? As I rattled off the information, I felt a strange sense of calm descending. For the first time in years, I was about to do something purely for myself. Which payments would you like to stop, Mrs. Thompson? All of them that are going to David Thompson, Jessica Thompson, or Tyler Thompson. And I need to remove David Thompson as an authorized user on all my accounts. There was a pause. That's quite a few payments, Mrs. Thompson. Are you sure? I'm absolutely sure. Okay, I'll need you to verify your identity first, and then I can walk you through each payment. The process took 45 minutes. By the end, I had stopped 17 different automatic payments. Tyler's school tuition, Jessica's car payment, David's mortgage contribution, various insurance policies, credit card payments, and more. When Amanda asked if I was certain about these changes, I looked at Jessica's text message still glowing on my phone screen. Helen wants to handle the party planning from now on. Yes, I told Amanda. I'm certain. After I hung up, I sat in the silence of my office and felt something I hadn't experienced in years: complete financial independence. No automatic withdrawals supporting other people's lives. No obligations. No expectations. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time. My phone buzzed. A text from Tyler. Grandma Marie, Dad said there are some changes to my party. Helen is coming to help plan it. Are you still going to be there? My heart clenched. Of all the people involved in this mess, Tyler was the only truly innocent one. He didn't ask to be caught between competing grandmothers. He didn't deserve to be a pawn in this adult drama. I typed carefully, "Sweetheart, I'm not sure what role I'll have in the party planning now that Helen is involved. We'll have to see how things work out." His response came immediately. "But you already planned everything. And what about my car? Are you still giving me the car?" The car, sitting in my driveway, already titled and registered in Tyler's name. I had been planning to present him with the keys at his party. I made a decision that would have seemed unthinkable an hour ago. "Tyler, I need you to come over tomorrow after school. We need to talk about some changes." "What kind of changes?" "We'll discuss it when you get here." "But Tyler, I want you to know that I love you very much, and that will never change." "You're scaring me, Grandma Marie." "Don't be scared, sweetheart. Everything will be okay." But as I turned off my phone and prepared for bed, I wasn't sure I believed that myself. The next day crawled by. I spent the morning organizing my financial documents and calling my lawyer to schedule an appointment. I spent the afternoon pacing my living room, rehearsing what I would say to Tyler. At 3:45 p.m., Tyler knocked on my front door. He looked nervous as I let him in. "Grandma Marie? What's going on?" "Dad's been acting really weird, and Jessica keeps making phone calls and slamming doors." We sat down in my living room, and I took his hands in mine. "Tyler, there have been some changes in our family dynamics that I need to explain to you." "Okay. Your grandmother Helen has decided to move here permanently to be closer to you. She wants to take a more active role in your life." Tyler's face lit up. "Really? That's cool. I've always wondered what it would be like to have a grandmother who lived nearby. But Helen feels like having two grandmothers doing the same things might be confusing for you." His smile faded. "What do you mean?" "She thinks it would be better if she was your primary grandmother." The one who plans your parties and attends your school events. But you've always done those things. I know, sweetheart. But Helen is your biological grandmother. She has a claim to that role that I don't have. I don't understand. You're my grandmother, too. In my heart, yes. But legally, no. Your father, and I never completed the adoption paperwork that would have made me your legal grandmother. Tyler was quiet for a moment, processing this information. So, what does this mean? It means that I'm going to step back from some of the grandmother activities so Helen can take over. But I don't want you to step back. I want both of you. Tyler, your father and Helen have decided this is what's best. What about what I want? The question broke my heart. You're 16, sweetheart. You don't get to make these decisions yet. This isn't fair. No, it's not fair. But it's reality. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, "What about my car?" I had been dreading this question. Tyler, the car was a gift from your grandmother to her grandson. If I'm not going to be your grandmother anymore, then it's not appropriate for me to give you such an expensive gift. His face went pale. You're taking the car back? Yes. But why? The car doesn't have anything to do with Helen. Tyler, try to understand. I've been supporting your family financially for 7 years. I've paid for your school, your activities, Jessica's education, half of your father's mortgage. I did all of this because I thought I was part of the family. But your father has made it clear that Helen's role as your grandmother is more important than mine. That's not true. Tyler, your father told me last night that Helen is family and I'm just his wife. He said that. He said that. Tyler's eyes filled with tears. But I love you, Grandma Marie. And I love you too, sweetheart. More than you'll ever know. But love isn't enough sometimes. Can't you fight for me? Can't you tell them that you want to stay my grandmother too? Oh, Tyler. I pulled him into a hug. I've been fighting for 13 years. I'm tired of fighting. Tyler cried against my shoulder, and I cried too. This wasn't how I had wanted things to go. But David had made his choice, and now I had to make mine. After Tyler left, I felt hollow. I had done what I thought was necessary to protect myself, but hurting Tyler in the process felt like a betrayal of everything I stood for. My phone started ringing almost immediately. David. Marie, what the hell did you do? Good morning to you too, David. Tyler came home devastated. He said you took his car away and told him you weren't going to be his grandmother anymore. I told him the truth. That Helen is taking over the grandmother role, and I'm stepping back. That's not what we said, isn't it? You told me Helen didn't want to share the grandmother role. You told me she thought it would be confusing for Tyler to have two grandmothers doing the same things. What was I supposed to think? We thought you could still be involved, just differently. How differently, David? I don't know. We haven't figured it all out yet. Well, while you're figuring it out, you might want to check your bank accounts. I've canceled all the automatic payments I've been making toward your family's expenses. You what? I stopped funding your life, David. All of it. Tyler's tuition, Jessica's car payment, half your mortgage, everything. You can't do that. Actually, I can. It's my money. But we're counting on those payments. Well, you should have thought of that before you decided Helen's feelings were more important than mine. Marie, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. I'm no longer paying for the privilege of being replaced by Tyler's real grandmother. This is insane. You're destroying everything over a misunderstanding. This isn't a misunderstanding, David. This is about respect. This is about being valued. This is about being treated like family instead of a checkbook with feelings. We've never treated you like a checkbook. Haven't you? When was the last time any of you called me just to see how I was doing? When was the last time you included me in a family decision? When was the last time Jessica spoke to me about anything other than needing money for something? He was quiet. David, I would have gladly shared the grandmother role with Helen. I would have welcomed her into Tyler's life and worked with her to make sure he had the best of both of us. But that's not what you chose. What do you mean? You chose to replace me instead of including her. You chose Helen's comfort over my feelings. You chose to make this a competition instead of a collaboration. That wasn't our intention. Intention doesn't matter, David. Impact matters. And the impact of your choices was to make me feel like I don't belong in this family. So what happens now? Now you figure out how to pay your own bills. Now Helen gets to be Tyler's only grandmother. Now I protect myself from further hurt. And Tyler will understand someday that sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love. I hung up. Over the next few days, my phone rang constantly. David called at least twice a day. Jessica called, her voice alternating between angry and wheedling. Even Tyler called, begging me to change my mind. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I focused on myself. I called my financial advisor and reviewed my portfolio. I made an appointment with my lawyer to discuss updating my will. I scheduled a doctor's appointment for a checkup I'd been putting off. On Friday afternoon, as I was reading in my garden, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a woman I didn't recognize. She was about my age, with silver hair and kind eyes. She looked nervous but determined. I opened the door. Mrs. Thompson?
I'm Helen Richards.
Tyler's grandmother. I studied her for a moment. So this was the woman who had upended my life without even trying. Hello, Helen. May I come in? I think we need to talk. I stepped aside to let her enter, curious about what she had to say. We sat in my living room, and Helen looked around at the family photos covering my side tables. Pictures of Tyler at various ages. Pictures of David and me on our wedding day. Pictures of family vacations and holidays. You have a beautiful home, Helen said. Thank you. Mrs. Thompson, I owe you an apology. I raised an eyebrow. Do you? I've made a terrible mistake. What kind of mistake? Helen took a deep breath. I came here with the intention of reclaiming my place in Tyler's life. I've felt guilty for years about not being more involved, and when I retired last year, I decided it was time to fix that. That sounds reasonable. But I went about it all wrong. I was so focused on establishing myself as Tyler's grandmother that I didn't consider the impact on you. Helen, Tyler can have more than one grandmother. I never wanted to replace you. I know that now. But at the time, I felt threatened by you. Threatened. Every time I talked to Tyler on the phone, he mentioned Grandma Marie this and Grandma Marie that. You were there for everything I missed. Every milestone, every achievement, every crisis. You were his grandmother in all the ways I hadn't been able to be. That wasn't intentional. I was just loving him. I know. And that's what makes this so difficult. Helen paused, gathering her thoughts. Mrs. Thompson, I made a terrible error in judgment. When David told me about Tyler's birthday party, I suggested that it might be better if I handled the planning. I thought it would help establish my role in Tyler's life. And David agreed. David was trying to make me happy, but I didn't think about how my request would affect you. Helen, Jessica's text said you wanted me to be there, that we should work together. Helen looked confused. I never said that. Asked David if I could take over the party planning. I didn't mention you at all. My heart sank. So, Jessica lied to me. It appears so. And Mrs. Thompson, I need you to know that I never intended for you to be excluded from Tyler's life. I just wanted to find my place in it. Well, you found it. I've stepped back. That's why I'm here. Tyler is miserable. I felt my resolve wavering. He'll adjust. No, he won't. And neither will I. What do you mean? I spent yesterday with Tyler, trying to get to know my grandson better. Do you know what he talked about the entire time?
What? You.
How you taught him to ride a bike. How you helped him with his math homework when he was struggling. How you took care of him when he was sick. How you never missed a school play or soccer game. Tears stung my eyes. Helen, you don't need to. Yes, I do. Mrs. Thompson, Tyler doesn't just love you. He needs you. You're not just his step-grandmother. You're his grandmother in every way that matters. But you're his biological grandmother. So what? Biology doesn't make someone a parent or a grandparent. Love does. Commitment does. Showing up does. You've been showing up for Tyler his whole life. I haven't. You live across the country. That's not your fault. But it's my loss. And now I'm compounding that loss by trying to push you out of Tyler's life. I was quiet for a moment, processing what she was saying. Helen, what are you asking of me? I'm asking if you'll share Tyler with me. Share him. I want to be Tyler's grandmother. But I don't want to replace you. I want to work with you. David and Jessica won't like that. David and Jessica will have to accept it.
This isn't about them.
It's about Tyler. What exactly are you proposing? I'm proposing that we plan Tyler's birthday party together. I'm proposing that we both attend his school events. I'm proposing that we both be his grandmothers. Helen, that's very generous, but it's not generous. It's necessary. Tyler needs both of us. How do you know? Because he told me. Yesterday, when I asked him what he wanted for his birthday, he said he wanted his Grandma Marie back. My heart clenched. He said that?
He said that.
Mrs. Thompson, I came here thinking I needed to establish my territory. But Tyler isn't territory to be claimed. He's a boy who deserves all the love he can get.
What about the party planning?
I've already canceled everything. Can you uncancel it? Probably. But Helen, what about David and Jessica? They were very clear about wanting you to take over. Then they'll have to adjust to reality. The reality is that Tyler has two grandmothers who love him, and we're both going to be part of his life. And if they resist, then they'll have to choose between their preferences and Tyler's happiness. I looked at this woman who had inadvertently caused so much upheaval in my life. She seemed genuine in her desire to work together, but I was scared to trust again. Helen, I need to ask you something. Anything. Why should I believe that you won't change your mind in a few weeks or months? Why should I believe that you won't decide you want to be Tyler's only grandmother after all? Helen was quiet for a moment. Then she said, because I've seen what happens when Tyler loses a grandmother. I've seen how much he's hurting since you stepped back. I never want to be responsible for causing him that kind of pain again. What if we disagree about something related to Tyler? Then we'll talk it out like adults. We'll compromise. We'll put Tyler's needs first. And if David and Jessica try to pit us against each other, then we'll present a united front. Tyler's two grandmothers, working together for his benefit. I thought about Tyler's tears when I told him I was stepping back. I thought about the photos covering my living room, documenting 13 years of love and commitment. I thought about the birthday party I had planned, now canceled. Helen, if we do this, there need to be some ground rules. Name them. First, we're equal partners in Tyler's life. Neither of us is the real grandmother. We're both real. Agreed. Second, we make decisions about Tyler together. No more unilateral choices that affect both of us. Absolutely. Third, we don't let David and Jessica manipulate us or create competition between us. Understood. And fourth, if this arrangement doesn't work out, we handle it maturely without hurting Tyler. I promise. I took a deep breath. Okay, let's try this. Helen's face lit up with relief. Really? Really? But Helen. Yes, I'm not going back to funding everyone's lifestyle. That part of my relationship with David's family is over. I understand completely. Tyler's party will be split between us financially. And going forward, David and Jessica are responsible for Tyler's day-to-day expenses. That seems fair. And one more thing. What's that? I'm keeping Tyler's car. I bought it. I'm giving it to him, and no one gets to take that away from either of us. Helen smiled. I think that's perfect. We spent the next 2 hours planning Tyler's birthday party together. It was awkward at first, but gradually we found our rhythm. Helen had some wonderful ideas, and I had the practical experience of knowing Tyler's preferences. By the time Helen left, we had developed a plan that incorporated both of our strengths. More importantly, we had begun to build a relationship based on mutual respect and shared love for Tyler. That evening, I called Tyler. Grandma Marie? Hello, sweetheart. I'm sorry I cried at your house the other day. Dad said I was being dramatic. Tyler, you weren't being dramatic. You were hurt, and you had every right to be. Are you still mad at me? I was never mad at you, Tyler. I was hurt by your father's decisions, but I was never mad at you. Does that mean you'll come to my party? Actually, Tyler, I have some good news. What? I met with your grandmother Helen today. You did. I did. And we've decided that we want to plan your birthday party together. Together?
Together.
Two grandmothers, working as a team to make sure you have the best 16th birthday ever. Really? You're not stepping back anymore?
No, sweetheart.
I'm not stepping back. Helen and I both want to be part of your life. What about Dad and Jessica? They'll have to accept our decision. And my car? I smiled. Happy early birthday, Tyler. He whooped with joy, and I felt lighter than I had in days. The next morning, David called. Marie, Helen said she talked to you yesterday. She did. She said you two are planning Tyler's party together. That's correct. I thought we agreed that Helen would take over the party planning.
No, David.
You decided that Helen would take over. Helen and I have decided to work together. But that's not what Helen originally wanted. People can change their minds when they get more information. What kind of information? The information that Tyler needs both of his grandmothers, not just one. Marie, this is going to be confusing for everyone. The only thing that's confusing, David, is why you thought you could make decisions about my relationship with Tyler without consulting me. I was trying to avoid conflict. You created conflict by trying to avoid it. So what happens now? Now Helen and I plan Tyler's party together. Now we both attend his school events. Now we both act as his grandmothers. And Jessica? Jessica will have to learn to work with both of us instead of trying to manipulate one of us against the other. What do you mean? I mean that Helen never asked for me to be excluded from Tyler's life. She never said she wanted me there. Jessica lied to me in her text message. David was quiet. David, your daughter has been stirring up trouble between Helen and me from the beginning. That stops now. Jessica was just trying to help. Jessica was trying to control the situation. There's a difference. So you and Helen are going to be some kind of grandmother team? That's exactly what we're going to be. And what about the financial support? Are you going to resume the automatic payments?
No, David.
That part of our arrangement is permanent. You and Jessica are adults. You can figure out how to support yourselves. But Tyler's tuition, Tyler's long-term education expenses will be handled by Helen and me through a trust fund we're setting up. His day-to-day expenses are your responsibility. A trust fund. A trust fund that Tyler will have access to when he turns 18 for college and other major expenses. You and Helen are setting this up together? We are. Without consulting me? David, you lost the right to be consulted about my financial decisions when you told me that Helen was family and I was just your wife. There was a long pause. Then David asked, What does this mean for us? For our marriage? It was a fair question, and one I'd been thinking about for days. I don't know yet, David. I need some time to figure out if I can trust you again. Trust me with what? Trust you to value my role in this family. Trust you to include me in decisions that affect me. Trust you to have my back when things get difficult. Marie, I do value you. Then prove it. Support Helen's and my decision to work together. Stop letting Jessica manipulate family dynamics. Start treating me like a partner instead of a funding source. And if I do those things, then maybe we can rebuild what we've lost. And if I don't, then I'll know where I stand, and I'll make decisions accordingly. Tyler's 16th birthday party was held on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in our backyard. Helen and I had worked together seamlessly, combining our ideas and resources to create exactly the kind of celebration Tyler wanted. The guest list included Tyler's friends, David, Jessica, Helen, and me. For the first time in weeks, everyone seemed relaxed and happy. Tyler beamed as he opened his presents, and when it came time to give him his car keys, Helen and I presented them together. From both of your grandmothers, I said, who love you very much. Tyler hugged both of us, and I caught David watching with a mixture of surprise and appreciation. Jessica, for her part, seemed subdued but not hostile. Perhaps she was beginning to understand that her attempts to control the family dynamics had backfired. As the party wound down and guests began to leave, Helen and I found ourselves cleaning up together in the kitchen. That went well, she said, washing dishes while I dried. Better than I expected. Tyler seemed happy.
He was.
We did good work together. Marie, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think we can make this work long-term? This partnership? I thought about it. A month ago, I never could have imagined myself working with Tyler's biological grandmother. But today had shown me that it was not only possible but beneficial for everyone involved. I think we can, Helen. But it's going to require ongoing communication and mutual respect. I'm committed to both of those things. So am I. As Helen prepared to leave, she turned to me. Marie, I want you to know that I consider myself very lucky. Lucky. Lucky that Tyler had you all these years when I couldn't be here. Lucky that he has a grandmother who loves him as much as you do. Lucky that you're willing to share him with me now. Helen, Tyler is lucky to have both of us. Different grandmothers bring different gifts to his life. What gifts do I bring? You bring his family history, stories about his mother that I could never tell him, a connection to his roots. And what gifts do you bring? I bring consistency, stability, the security of knowing that someone has been there for him his whole life and always will be.
He needs both. He needs both.
Over the following months, Helen and I settled into a comfortable partnership. We attended Tyler's soccer games together, sitting side by side in the bleachers. We helped him with college applications, each bringing our own expertise to the process. We celebrated his achievements and supported him through his challenges. Most importantly, we became friends. Helen was smart, funny, and completely devoted to Tyler's well-being. She had retired from a career as a high school principal, so she brought educational expertise to our partnership. I brought financial knowledge and 13 years of experience with Tyler's personality and preferences. We established clear boundaries with David and Jessica. All decisions regarding Tyler's major life events would be discussed with both grandmothers. Neither David nor Jessica could play us against each other or exclude one of us without the other's agreement. Jessica tested these boundaries early on, calling Helen to suggest that I was too controlling about Tyler's college planning. Helen immediately called me to discuss Jessica's concerns, and we presented a united front. Jessica quickly learned that her old manipulation tactics wouldn't work anymore. David, for his part, seemed relieved that the family drama had settled down. Tyler was happy, Both grandmothers were working together, and David didn't have to choose sides anymore. However, my relationship with David remained strained. We were still legally married, but we were living like polite roommates rather than spouses. The trust that had been broken needed time and effort to rebuild. 6 months after Tyler's birthday party, David and I had a serious conversation about our future. "Marie, I know I messed up," he said as we sat in our living room one evening. "I know I hurt you, and I know I made the wrong choices. I appreciate you acknowledging that, David. What do I need to do to fix this? To fix us? I don't know if you can fix it, David. Some things, once broken, can't be repaired. But you're still here. You haven't filed for divorce. I'm here because this is my home too. I'm here because Tyler needs stability. I'm here because I haven't decided what I want my life to look like yet. What would help you decide? I thought about it carefully. Time, David. And evidence that you truly understand what went wrong. I understand that I should have supported you instead of siding with Helen's original request. That's part of it. But David, the deeper problem is that you've never fully accepted me as part of this family. That's not true. Isn't it? We've been married for 7 years, and you've never suggested that I adopt Tyler. You've kept the house in your name only. You've allowed Jessica to treat me like an outsider. You've made major decisions about Tyler without consulting me. David was quiet. David, I need to feel like an equal partner in this marriage, not a funding source with benefits. How do I show you that you're an equal partner? Start including me in decisions about Tyler's schooling instead of just expecting me to pay for whatever you and Jessica choose. Put my name on the house deed. Stand up to Jessica when she's disrespectful to me. And if I do those things, then we'll see if we can rebuild what we had. And Helen, where does she fit into all of this? Helen and I are partners in Tyler's life regardless of what happens between you and me. That relationship is separate from our marriage. So, even if we divorce, you'd still be Tyler's grandmother? David, I'll be Tyler's grandmother until the day I die, regardless of any legal documents or family politics. Helen understands that. I hope you do too. David nodded slowly. I'm beginning to. Good. Because that's non-negotiable. Over the next year, David made genuine efforts to change. He added my name to the house deed. He started including me in decisions about Tyler's education and activities. He even stood up to Jessica when she made a snide comment about my interference in Tyler's college planning. It wasn't perfect and it wasn't quick, but it was progress. Meanwhile, Helen and I continued to grow closer. We discovered we both loved mystery novels and started a 2-person book club. We took Tyler on college tours together, presenting ourselves as his grandmother team. We split the costs of his senior year activities and college application fees. Most importantly, we gave Tyler the gift of a drama-free family environment. No more competition between grandmothers. No more loyalty tests. No more financial manipulation. Tyler thrived in this new dynamic. His grades improved. He seemed more confident and relaxed. He talked openly about how much he appreciated having both of his grandmothers working together instead of creating stress. You know what's funny? Tyler said to me one day as we were reviewing his college acceptance letters, I used to think I was missing out by not having grandparents who lived nearby. But now I realize I have something better. What's that? I have 2 grandmothers who chose to love me. Grandma Helen could have stayed in Oregon. You could have stayed mad about the party thing. But you both chose to be here for me. Of course we did. Not everyone would have made that choice. Tyler, you're easy to love. Maybe. But you and Grandma Helen are easy to love too. You guys turned what could have been a really messy situation into something good. He was right. What had started as a painful betrayal had become an opportunity for growth and healing. Tyler graduated high school with honors and was accepted to several excellent colleges. Helen and I attended his graduation together, sitting with David and Jessica, but clearly functioning as a united grandmother team. At the graduation party, which Helen and I planned together, Tyler gave a speech thanking everyone who had supported him throughout his high school years. "I want to especially thank my two grandmothers," he said, looking at Helen and me. "Grandma Marie, who has been there for me since I was 3 years old and who taught me that family is about love, not just biology. And Grandma Helen, who showed me that it's never too late to build a relationship and that having more people who love you is always better than having fewer." There wasn't a dry eye in the house. "These two women could have let jealousy and competition ruin our family," Tyler continued. "Instead, they chose to work together for my benefit. They showed me what real maturity looks like. They showed me that the best families are the ones where everyone puts love first." As Tyler headed off to college that fall, Helen and I continued our partnership. We called him regularly, sometimes together and sometimes separately. We sent care packages. We attended parents' weekend together. David and I also continued to work on our marriage. It was slow going, but we were making progress. The trust was gradual. Jessica, now 31, had started to mature as well. She apologized to me for her role in the birthday party crisis and for years of treating me like an outsider. She was beginning to understand that her attempts to control family dynamics had been harmful to everyone, especially Tyler. "I was scared," she admitted during one of our conversations. "I was scared that if Tyler got too attached to you, he'd forget about Mom. And then when Helen came along, I was scared that there wouldn't be room for everyone." "Jessica, love isn't a limited resource. Tyler has room in his heart for everyone who loves him. I'm starting to understand that. Your mother will always be Tyler's mother. Nothing can change that. Helen and I are just his grandmothers. Different roles, all important." I wish I had understood that sooner. You understand it now. That's what matters. 2 years after the birthday party crisis, Helen and I were planning Tyler's 20th birthday celebration. He was home from college for spring break, and we wanted to do something special. "Hard to believe it's been 2 years, Helen said as we discussed party plans over coffee in my kitchen. "Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago." "Do you ever regret how things turned out?" I thought about it. I regret the pain it caused Tyler. I regret that it took a crisis for us to find our way to this partnership. But I don't regret standing up for myself. What do you think would have happened if you hadn't taken back the car and canceled the payments? I think David and Jessica would have continued taking me for granted. I think you and I never would have become friends. I think Tyler would have grown up thinking that love is conditional and that family members are replaceable. So the crisis was necessary? The crisis was unavoidable. David and Jessica created it with their choices. I just refused to be the victim of it. And now Tyler has two grandmothers who adore him. David and I have a stronger marriage than we've ever had. Jessica has learned to treat me with respect. And you and I have a friendship that I treasure. Not bad for a crisis that started with a text message. Not bad at all. Tyler's 20th birthday party was a small, intimate affair. Just family and a few close friends. Tyler was studying engineering and doing well in school. He had a girlfriend he was serious about, and he seemed genuinely happy and well-adjusted. As the party wound down, Tyler pulled Helen and me aside. "I have something I want to tell you both," he said. "What's that?" Helen asked. "I've been thinking a lot about family lately, about what it means and how it's formed." "Okay," I said. "I want you both to know that I consider myself incredibly lucky to have two grandmothers who love me enough to put my needs first." "Tyler," Helen started. "Let me finish," he said with a smile. "I know that what happened 2 years ago was painful for everyone, but I'm glad it happened." "You're glad?" I asked. "I'm glad because it forced everyone to be honest about what they wanted and needed. It cleared the air. It made our families stronger. How so? Before the crisis, our family was held together by habit and financial dependence. Now it's held together by choice and genuine love. Helen and I looked at each other, both tearing up. Tyler, Helen said, you've become a very wise young man. I learned from watching two very wise women figure out how to put love first. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, David came into our bedroom. Marie, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think we're going to make it? Our marriage, I mean. I looked at my husband, this man who had hurt me so deeply, but who had also worked so hard to make amends. I think we have a good chance, David. Not because we've forgotten what happened, but because we've learned from it. What have we learned? We've learned that marriages require mutual respect and equality. We've learned that family isn't about controlling people, but about loving them. We've learned that the strongest relationships are the ones where everyone chooses to be there. And Tyler has learned that he's worthy of unconditional love. He's learned that families can overcome crisis and become stronger. He's learned that the adults in his life are capable of putting his needs first. Those are good lessons. They are. Marie? Yes, I love you, and I'm grateful that you didn't give up on us completely. I love you too, David, and I'm grateful that you were willing to do the hard work of change. As we settled into bed, I reflected on the journey that had brought us to this point. 2 years ago, I had been a woman who was taken for granted, whose contributions were expected but not appreciated, whose role in the family was conditional and precarious. Now I was a woman who knew her worth, who had set boundaries and enforced them, who had built a beautiful partnership with Helen, who had a deeper, more honest relationship with Tyler, who had a marriage based on mutual respect rather than financial dependency. The text message that had shattered my world had ultimately been the catalyst for rebuilding it better. Tyler's junior year of college brought new challenges and opportunities. He was selected for a prestigious internship program that would require him to spend the summer in California. Both Helen and I were proud of his accomplishment and sad that he'd be so far away. It's only for 10 weeks, Tyler reminded us during a video call, and I'll be back for senior year. We know, Helen said. We're just going to miss you. I'm going to miss you too. Both of you. Tyler, I said, we want you to know that Helen and I are setting up a fund to help you with expenses during the internship. Housing, transportation, that sort of thing. You don't have to do that. We want to, Helen said. It's what grandmothers do. Both grandmothers, Tyler said with a grin. Working together as usual. As usual, I agreed. After the call, Helen and I discussed Tyler's future plans. He was considering graduate school, and we wanted to make sure we could support him financially if he chose that path. Marie, Helen said, I've been thinking about something. What's that? I'm getting older. We both are. What happens to Tyler if something happens to one of us? It was a sobering thought, but an important one. Helen, I think we should formalize our partnership legally. What do you mean? I mean, we should set up our wills and trusts in a way that ensures Tyler's security regardless of which one of us passes away first. That's a good idea. And I think we should consider other ways to document our relationship and our commitment to Tyler. Such as emergency contacts, medical power of attorney for each other, that sort of thing. We're family, Helen. We should make it official. Helen's eyes filled with tears. I'd like that very much. Over the next few months, Helen and I worked with lawyers to create a legal framework that reflected our emotional reality. We were Tyler's grandmothers, partners in his upbringing, and each other's closest family. We also made another decision that surprised everyone, including ourselves. Helen, I said one day, as we were having lunch, how would you feel about moving in together? Moving in together? I've been thinking about it. We spend most of our time together anyway. We're both rattling around in houses that are too big for us. And as we get older, it might be nice to have someone around. What about David? That was the complicated part. David and I had rebuilt our marriage, but we were both aware that we had changed as individuals. We loved each other, but we weren't the same people who had gotten married 7 years ago.
David and I have been talking about this, I said.
We've realized that we might be better as friends than as spouses. You're getting divorced? We're considering an amicable separation. We'd remain close, but we'd live separately. And he's okay with this? It was actually his idea. He said he wants me to be happy, and he thinks I'm happiest when I'm focused on being Tyler's grandmother and your partner. What about you? How do you feel about it? I feel relieved, if I'm being honest. David and I love each other, but we want different things. He wants a traditional marriage where he makes the decisions and I support them. I want a partnership where we're equals. And you think you and I would be good housemates? I think we'd be great housemates. We have compatible lifestyles, shared interests, and a common purpose in Tyler. Helen was quiet for a moment, considering the idea. Marie, are you sure about this? It's a big step. I'm sure. Helen, you're my best friend. You're my partner in the most important job I've ever had. Your family. You're family to me too. So, what do you think? I think it sounds wonderful. 6 months later, Helen and I bought a beautiful house together in a quiet neighborhood near Tyler's high school. It had 2 master suites, a large common area, and a guest room for when Tyler visited. David helped us move, and there were no hard feelings. Our divorce had been amicable, and we remained close friends. David even joked that he was gaining a friend and losing a checkbook. You two are going to have so much fun, he said as he helped carry boxes. Tyler's going to love having both his grandmothers in one place. Tyler, now a senior in college, was indeed delighted with our new living arrangement. He spent his winter break with us, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. This is perfect, he said as we decorated our Christmas tree together. I have my own room, but I also have both my grandmothers right here. And when you graduate and start your career, you'll always have a home base, Helen added. Even when you get married and have children of your own, I said. Speaking of which, Tyler said with a mischievous grin, Sarah and I have been talking about the future. Sarah was Tyler's girlfriend of 2 years, a sweet young woman studying education. Oh, Helen said. We're thinking about getting engaged after graduation. Helen and I looked at each other and smiled. Tyler, that's wonderful news, I said. Do you think Sarah would be interested in having 2 grandmothers-in-law who come as a package deal? Helen asked. Are you kidding? Sarah loves you both. She says Tyler is lucky to have such devoted grandmothers. Smart girl, I said. The smartest, Tyler agreed. As Tyler's graduation approached, Helen and I began planning our next chapter. We had successfully raised Tyler to adulthood. We had built a strong friendship and partnership. We had created a stable, loving home for ourselves. But we weren't ready to retire from life yet. Helen, I said one morning over breakfast, what do you think about doing some volunteer work together? What kind of volunteer work? I was thinking about mentoring programs for kids who don't have stable family situations. Kids who could benefit from having some extra grandmotherly attention. Helen's face lit up. Marie, that's a brilliant idea. We could volunteer at the local high school, or with the foster care system, or with single-parent families. We have a lot of experience to share. We do, and we work well together. I love it. Let's look into it. Tyler's college graduation was a celebration of not just his achievements, but of our family's journey. Helen and I sat together in the audience, wearing matching corsages that Tyler had sent us. David and Jessica were there too, And even Jessica's new boyfriend seemed to understand that Helen and I were a team. After the ceremony, Tyler found us in the crowd. Grandma Marie, Grandma Helen. He hugged us both at once. Thank you for everything. Tyler, we're so proud of you, Helen said. You've become an amazing young man, I added. I had amazing teachers, he said, looking at both of us. What's next for you? Helen asked. Well, I start my job in August. Sarah and I are looking at apartments, and we're planning an engagement party for this summer. An engagement party that two grandmothers will be planning together? I asked. Absolutely. I wouldn't trust anyone else with it. As we walked back to our car, Helen and I reflected on the day. For years ago, did you ever imagine we'd be here? Helen asked. 4 years ago, I thought my family was falling apart. I never imagined it would become stronger than ever. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things. Sometimes they do. Murray? Yes. Thank you. For what? For giving me a second chance to be Tyler's grandmother. For showing me what it means to put love first. For becoming my family. Thank you for the same things, Helen. As we drove home to the house we shared, I marveled at the unexpected journey that had brought us to this point. A cruel text message had led to a beautiful friendship. A family crisis had led to a stronger family. A moment of betrayal had led to years of loyalty and love. Tyler was right. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us lead to the best things. But only if we're brave enough to stand up for ourselves and wise enough to recognize love when it comes in unexpected packages. Helen and I had been both brave and wise. And Tyler had been the beneficiary of our courage and wisdom. As we pulled into our driveway, I saw Tyler's car already there. He had beaten us home and was probably inside making dinner for all of us, as he often did when he visited. This was family. Not the family I had started with, but the family we had all chosen to become. And it was beautiful. That's Marie's incredible story of transformation, boundary setting, and finding family in the most unexpected places. What did you think of her journey? Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and standing up for yourself? Let me know in the comments below. If Marie's story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to her true stories for more incredible tales of women who found their strength in their darkest moments. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a story that might just change your perspective on what family really means. And remember, sometimes the family that chooses you is stronger than the family you're born into. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.